This is Commander Central episode 20, the final episode of 2017.
Woohoo!
We're cheering because the year is almost over.
Thank God.
It's been a rough year. We've had hurricanes and floods and mass shootings, and this whole thing is being watched over by basically an orange Russian nesting doll with a dead cat in his head. That's who's in charge of this whole shit show.
Orange doll
with
a
a dead cat in his head. But we're going to try to stay positive here because not everything is terrible. There's some good stuff. We knocked out 20 episodes of this show.
We did.
After a hiatus.
I think they're getting better every time we go. Our viewership and listenership is going up. We got a custom YouTube channel name that matches the podcast name because we're over the subscriber numbers. So I think things are going well. We'll just kiss goodbye to 2017 here and look ahead to 2018. And with that, I'm Dana.
I'm Max.
And I'm Chris.
So, how was Christmas for everybody?
It was Christmas.
I still have one more coming.
Oh, you've done 2 already, I think.
I've done 3.
You've done 3, and you have a 4th.
I have a 4th in 2 weeks.
Is that with what side of the family?
My mom's side of the family. First Christmas without Grandpa, so kind of have to be there.
Sure, that makes sense. How was yours, Chris?
Pretty good.
Did you have 1 or 2 or several?
3, I think.
Oh,
I don't even remember.
It all just blended together.
Yeah. All I know is we have a potluck on the 30th at our LGS, and I told them if anyone brings mashed potatoes, I will throw them across the room.
You've hit your mashed potato limit?
Oh, God, yes. My stomach still hurts.
We had multiple people that brought in like leftover Christmas cookies on Tuesday this week. So that was the snack food of choice at Commander Night was leftover Christmas cookies. I didn't get much Magic stuff this year. Usually like everyone buys me Magic things for Christmas. I didn't really get anything.
I got a box of Iconic Masters.
Nice.
Which was absolute crap.
I got a box of Iconic Masters that I opened.
So yours was boxes?
Mine. Yeah. Mine was fine, like value wise. I got a Mana Drain, which is a card I wanted. I got a couple of Horizon Canopies, and I got 2 Aether Vials, which value wise, I think that covers my box. So everything else, that's basically the cost of the box. I don't think I got a single rare foil. My foils were all common or uncommon, and they were bad.
Oh, I got a bunch of rare foils, and they were all bad.
But literally the first 3 packs I opened up were Kamigawa Dragons. And not even the decent ones. I opened the red one, the white one, and the green one to start.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, so either I've got the trash. I was like, either the trash is getting taken care of right away, or this is what the whole box is going to look like. So luckily it wasn't that. But
see, I thought the other way because my first pack was Flusterstorm, and then I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be that box. And I cracked them and just started crying as I went through them.
Well, my first Mythic was a Channel. And then the second one was Mana Drain, but I was like, oh no, like come on.
I think my first Mythic was Necropotence, and then it was Channel, and then the Hellkite Charger, the Dragon, the 7.
Which is playable, but like you don't want to
whatever.
crack it. It's like a $3 card or something.
Yeah.
It's not doesn't feel good to open that up.
Well, the worst part is I brought the box in to our LGS, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, do I crack this or do I just trade it in and see what I can get for it? And so I asked the owner, I'm like, how many unstable boxes will you give me? Because I'm like, I'll just go for the lands instead. It's like, well, I'll give you like a box and a half or so. And I'm like, screw it. We're just going to open up this one. I should have taken him up on that.
Yes, you should have.
I can't remember who I was talking to. Somebody in the store had picked up 2 boxes of unstable. And I was like, oh, did you open it? He's like, I was going to save it for drafting. And that lasted about 15 minutes before I started tearing packs. I was like, that's exactly how I would have been with it. I just can't hold on to that kind of stuff. You got to open it up and see what's in.
The lands they're really pretty.
They are really pretty.
I've seen them all in foil too, and all the foil versions are beautiful.
And the guy that opened the 2 unstable boxes got a foil in each of his boxes.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the percentage I read through Reddit, and the percentage of that is like 1 in 3 boxes, 1 in 4 boxes of a foil.
Yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it pays for like a good chunk of your box if you happen to hit one.
Or you hit a foil Steamflogger boss and just go, yes!
Right.
Selling for like $250 on eBay right now, just so everyone knows.
Nice.
How were games this week at the card store? 'Cause it's probably been 2 weeks since we've actually mentioned games on mic, because last week was a roundtable.
Yep.
And Chris, you were at this shop this week for like 7 hours and
Yeah.
and exclusively played modern games.
Yep. We got a big modern tournament coming up on January 6th. So anytime I'm down there, I've been jamming modern to get prepared for it.
But Max got to play.
I did get to play. I got to kill you.
With
Jamoka.
With Jamoka. Out of the blue. With a overwhelming stampede into Berserk.
Hunter's prowess into overwhelming stampede.
Yeah, that wasn't a good time.
Same difference.
Pretty much.
I
drew a bunch of cards,
I was going to say, you get to draw cards.
Yeah.
I drew 16 cards off of Jamoka.
And then you killed everybody else pretty quickly.
It was Phil was left, and I think 2 or 3 turns, and he's like, yeah, you have me.
Your Brago deck continues to kind of stall out.
Yes, it does.
So here's what I was thinking. I was thinking about that. This is why I brought this up. I think part of the problem with your Brago deck is you're so reliant on Brago tricks for things like card draw that once you hit that point where you're out of gas, you then have to rely on putting something like what are your draw cards, like Muldrifter into play with Brago out so you can blink it versus just playing. So I think you might need to just run a little more draw that isn't reliant on Brago.
Did you two talk about this?
I know we
beforehand.
Did.
We
Is that
were
what you told him?
Speaking about this before you walked in.
Really?
Yep. I was like, if I built it, there would be way more cantrips in the deck.
Fist bump here for Chris and I thinking alike. No, we seriously didn't mention it.
Wow.
Because I was saying that as I was watching you, because once you got down, you were down to like 1 card in hand.
Yep.
And your board state had kind of been cleared. And I actually thought to myself, okay, well, Max is, I don't have to worry about him for like 2 or 3 turns because he has to play Brago and play a draw spell and then get everything working again. So I can ignore him for a turn or 2. And then I got thinking afterwards, well, maybe that's something he should fix.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm guilty of that too. When I get a gimmick going in a deck, I probably go too hard into it. So I'm somebody who would do the exact same thing.
So, games, Dana. As I was playing Jamming All My Modern, I heard you getting quite flustered behind me. What happened?
With my Edgar deck?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I screwed up. Like,
all I heard was I keep missing triggers and all this stuff, and I'm like,
it was after 12, so it was after midnight. We've been playing at that point. I went to the shop early, so it's like hour 6 or 7 at that point too, and it's late. I missed so much stuff at the end of the game. One player had a blocker he had 1 blocker out, and I had lethal damage, and he was tapped out, and I didn't remove it with my Swords to Plowshares.
Oh no!
Like for 1 turn, I swung, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to remove it, so then I used it to keep my creature from dying, and that screwed something else up because I tapped the wrong mana to do that, which kept me from using my Boros Charm to kill the other player. Because I had them both dead had I just played things in the right sequence. So then I'm like, okay, just wait. I'll do it next turn. I screwed it up next turn again. I screwed up the Boros Charm again. So like 3 turns in a row, I missed killing somebody with the Boros Charm because I was forgetting my mana or I'd forget what I was doing. It was
that
like
horrible.
It was absurd. And it wasn't like I was screwing up complicated stuff. I was screwing up really simple stuff. So that's when I'm like, nope, I'm going home. It's
yeah, I noticed that you took off after that too. And
it's midnight. That's enough for me. Other than that, my games were pretty good. One thing I did want to point out too was I think you were in one of the games, Max, where somebody cast a Tempest Discovery.
Yep, it was you, myself, and Blake.
And everyone passed. There was a little bit of humming and hawing, but everyone did the correct thing and passed. Well, like 2 games later, I think it was the same person cast it again, and once again, nobody took it. And then he did a Temp of Vengeance later on.
He did that in our game too.
That everyone passed on. So I was like, oh, people are finding not taking the bait.
See, I guess it depends on how I'm sitting if I take it up on
Sure, like if I had a Urborg out, I might go get my Cabal Coffers if I didn't see somebody else was removed. I mean, there are situations when you might take it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there are other situations, like if you're sitting on the board and you're like low mana on the totem pole, and you look over and you see the one guy who's just like, he's going off, and someone casts like Temp with Vengeance. I'm like, I'll take them. I'm going to give you extras because you're going to turn on him in a heartbeat.
Right. If you're not going to get hit and you're like, I'll take the 6 tokens. I've got a Skull Clamp out. They're not going to be aimed at me for 2 turns because I'm doing so badly anyway. So I might as well draw some cards, see if I can make something happen. There are times you shouldn't.
Right.
I don't want to use a blanket statement and say you should never take it, but way more often than not, you shouldn't take the Temps.
I know a lot of time with like Tempt with Discovery, I'll take it no matter what and go for Strip Mine or Ghost Quarter just to blow up whatever land they went for.
That's actually a good idea.
And one of the things Max was really tempted to buy.
I was short of mana. Like, I missed a land drop, and I'm sitting there going, the correct move is not to take this, because he was casting on maybe turn 3.
Oh,
so he was already ahead on land on both of us.
You had also just done a Halimar Depths, though, so you knew your next 3 cards, and you wanted to shuffle.
Yep.
So that was really tempting, and you didn't take it.
Yeah, I'm like, I like my next 3 cards. I'm going to say no.
That's why it's called a Tempt card.
Yes.
Right?
Come to the dark side, my son.
The store was pretty busy for being that close to Christmas.
The store was packed, yeah.
Yeah, they were very surprised about that. I know I went last night for the store championship, and there was 12 or 13 people there for that. They ended up having to do 4 rounds with cut to top 8
Oh no.
wow.
because there was so many people there. And according to Wizards event, the program that you use to set up tournaments, that's how we had to run it.
Oof.
Is that why they didn't end till almost midnight?
Yep.
Oh.
I sat and watched all the games. It was pretty interesting. I should have played.
It was. I was not. It was miserably cold out. I just did not want to deal with it multiple
No.
nights in a row. Although I did get to go see Star Wars finally.
Did ya?
Yeah,
Yeah. You bailed on us to go to
I did.
wherever.
I had to go to Milwaukee, so I couldn't go when you guys went. I liked it. I didn't love it. There was things that weren't great about it. There was things I liked.
I thought it was good.
It was good. I
I want
enjoyed
a
it.
chipmunk. That's all I want.
I liked
Yeah,
it
right.
way better than The Force Awakens.
I think my expectations were probably too high, so I was a little bit let down because I thought it was going to be perfect,
Right.
and it wasn't. But it was enjoyable.
I hear it's really good the second time.
Okay, I just rewatched Rogue One for the second time
Yeah.
since I saw it in
I
the
kn-
theater.
I
And
know
that
I-
held up really well.
I heard about an article that the producer, director, or whatever wrote about that because all the fans were complaining, and he said that it needed to be done to move the storyline along, to get it out so it's more open.
It also got them past the Skywalker family being like the center of the universe.
Yep.
Which probably had to happen as well. So, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It wasn't
so did I.
perfect, but I enjoyed it. I really liked seeing the Infinity War trailer up on the big screen, though. That was nice.
That
Yes.
was pretty good. We got to see the Jurassic World trailer, and as soon as it got quiet, my buddy Nate's sitting next to me, and he starts doing the Jurassic Park theme song really loud, and I'm just like, oh God, no!
Oh, that was a blast.
That didn't do it for me. I was like, man, they managed to make dinosaurs and volcanoes and Chris Pratt look not that interesting.
I'm
I'll
not
still go see it.
I'm not a fan of those movies. Like, I'll see them because
I've seen every single one, and I love them all.
so have I. Just they aren't my cup of tea.
I like the first one. And
Yeah.
that's after that, it's I could take him or leave him.
Me too.
It's nice to see Goldblum back, though. I always like seeing him in
Right.
a movie. All right, we should probably actually talk about some some
Sure.
magic stuff, and not just this be the Commander Central movie hour.
The Force is magic.
Right, that's true. It is. Do we have any social media before we get into it to worry about this week?
Not that I can think of it. There was a lot of talk on social media.
There was, and we'd asked some questions of people of like their best cards of 2017, and we'll kind of deal with that once we get into the main part of the show. How about news, Max?
News. On Christmas Day, Wizards released the first image of Dominaria. It showed a great picture of Teferi, Joyra, and Karn standing on this mountaintop. And if you look really closely in the background, you can see part of the Weatherlight chilling.
Somebody I saw on Reddit was saying that they thought that was a Predator flagship
Oh, maybe.
ruins, but I don't, because it does
There's
kind
a
of have
big-
the same fin
Well,
on
yeah,
it.
it does, but there's still a big difference between the two ships. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
you need a better picture of it.
And I think they're both wrecked. No, Weatherlight's still around. Predator's wrecked, but the Weatherlight
Mhm.
was still functional.
Yes.
Regardless, it was kind of cool because we had just been talking about that, and Chris had just said we're gonna see Karn and Dominaria. So
Yep.
shout
Karn
out
for
to
sure.
Chris for being correct there. But I have been also talking about thinking Teferi was gonna be back.
Oh, I think we all knew Teferi because he's on Dominaria
Yeah.
to begin
Yep.
with. So
I was
unless
not.
something drastic happened when he phased everything out,
I was not expecting to see Joyra. I don't know
No.
why. I just didn't think of her. I guess.
I don't think any of us did. I'm curious if she's gained a spark or something, or if she's just going to be a
Was she,
character.
I think she was. Was she a planeswalker? I don't know. She wasn't.
I do not know.
But she's still young. I don't know. I'm assuming. Oh no, there was. Okay, I looked this up. She's not a planeswalker, but she had some access to time slowing water or something, because she dealt with time magic.
Yeah, okay.
So she's probably young as a result of that. It's my assumption.
Oh, she can share some of that stuff with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Eh.
Eh. Max is growing old gracefully.
Yep.
So yeah, that was cool to see. That was a nice little Christmas gift. That's really been about it, though. We didn't get any spoiler cards or anything that came out in the last 2 weeks. I think the show will air on January 1st,
Correct.
and I believe that's the day spoilers officially start.
Yep. Speaking of the spoilers, the cards that were released, I don't know if this was said anywhere, but I just found this out. The 12/12 Dragon or whatever, and the Silvergill Adepts.
Yep.
Those are actually promos that are giving out before even the release of the new Ixalan set.
Yeah, those are the game day and the pre-release something, aren't they?
Were
No,
they given
'cause,
out at Store
uh,
Championship?
Yep, the Store
Is that what it is?
Championship got the
Dino.
the Dino, and then I think another big tournament is where the Silvergill's going.
Okay. And the art book was out prematurely this today or yesterday or something.
Spoilers of that, yeah.
Yeah, right after Christmas. But that was just mostly art. There was no specifics.
I was gonna say there are spoilers out there, but I do believe from looking at them, because I looked at them today, it's the Planeswalker deck spoilers.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Because they're both 6-mana Planeswalkers.
Yeah, and we've covered those in previous episodes, like the Immortal Sun. We talked about that too.
And Azor, I guess we saw the first art of Azor from Ravnica, Azorius Guild, the founder, who's a Sphinx and who is
the original Guild Pact.
Yes, and presumably the Immortal Sun is his spark, I believe.
Yes,
from one time from the art book, he gave his spark to create the Immortal Sun, but he is still on Ixalan somewhere.
Probably in the city.
Yeah. So.
Oh, just when I thought Jace was gonna be normal.
Right.
So that's it for news, I think. So let's look at 2017. So first things first, let's talk like high level about the year in terms of Commander. What are your thoughts in general on 2017 Commander-wise? Were you happy with it? Unhappy with it?
Happy with it. There was a lot of cards that are Commander playable.
I definitely agree with that. It was a very good year for Commander when you focus down on EDH specifically.
Yep. It didn't feel like it every set that came out. Like it didn't feel special. I would look at Hour of Devastation or look at Aether Revolt or whatever and be like, oh, that's fine. But looking back on the year as a whole, I'm like, man, there were a lot of really, really good cards this year. I was surprised at the volume of really good Commander cards.
A lot of them are being played right now.
Yeah. Now, I know people aren't happy with Standard at the moment because it's just it's all just energy. So I get that, and that kind of overshadows some things. But yeah, Commander-wise, I've been very, very happy. I think the Commander decks this year were fantastic.
Yes.
The reprints all did a nice job on making cards affordable without really destroying value of things. I mean, a lot of stuff went down, but people are complaining about the amount of reprints, but that seems fine to me, Commander-wise.
Yeah, and the main cards that got reprinted that were high value, they're still pretty decent value.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even the unset, which none of us particularly liked, but if you're somebody who is into uncommander, they got a bunch of really cool stuff too.
I really want that 5-color Planeswalker though for my collection.
I need to get one too. How expensive is that? I haven't even looked. I do want to get one.
The foil version's like $100 and some bucks. I know that much, but just imagine what the non-foil's at.
I saw someone at the shop with a foil one.
With a foil Urza?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oof.
I think there's 2 of them that were running around the shop. I know that the LGS owner had gotten rid of one for one of the foil full arts.
Nice.
Because all the foil full arts are upwards of that kind of price too.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. Okay, so we're all pretty happy with 2017 as a whole. How about the planes we went to? So we had the end of Kaladesh, and we had Amonkhet, and now we've got the first half of Ixalan. So we've had 3 different worlds, all of which were first-time planes. Were you guys happy with the planes, Commander-wise? I mean, storyline-wise, that kind of stuff. Did you like the flavor those brought to the game?
I like that 2017 was all about new planes. We didn't
Yes,
we didn't do any revisit sets.
Yeah, let's just stay away from Ravnica for another 10 years.
No,
Yeah.
Ravnica's the best.
I don't mind going back to planes, although I like seeing new stuff too. One thing that I thought really helped this year was, the previous year we had Shadows over Innistrad, and we had the back end of Battle for Zendikar, and those are both kind of downers. Even the good guys won in Zendikar, and I guess they won at the end of Shadows, but
they won, huh?
but right. But they were right. They were pretty Pyrrhic victories, though. That didn't. There was a lot of scorched earth behind them. Whereas 2017, I mean, Amonkhet, I guess they lost, but it was at least kind of a sunny, interesting plane. Definitely Kaladesh was, and Ixalan is definitely was a bright and colorful and fun world. So I feel like this year was the year of fun worlds and Magic.
Yeah,
which I wanted to see.
I definitely agree with that, and because of that, we got a bunch of cool cards from all those sets.
Yes.
And new mechanics. I like the new mechanics that came out too.
So what mechanics in particular did you like from this year?
I like energy. All the haters out there. Not quite playable in Commander yet, I don't think.
It isn't, but I like it as a concept as well.
Yep.
I like vehicles. I like vehicles quite a bit.
Yes, vehicles were phenomenal. I guess another one would be your hour cards that cost less. I like that mechanic, for so much that's out on the battlefield or whatever, or players that you're playing against, that kind of stuff. How about you, Max? What'd you like?
I think vehicles are a great addition to the game. People have been wanting them, kind of like we discussed last week in our roundtable. People have been wanting these things for a long time because how do they get across a giant plane like Zendikar or Ixalan?
Yeah, where's the gas station?
Right. I too, like Chris, I love energy. And I think there's just enough of it where I think we'll see it on another plane. So maybe not return to Kaladesh, but, with all the stuff Tezzeret stole from Kaladesh, I think they'll figure out a way to use energy elsewhere in the multiverse. So that'll be cool. And I think we're only a couple cards away from being able to use it in Commander efficiently.
Yep.
When I first saw vehicles, I was a little bit underwhelmed because I'm like, oh, you just tap a creature to turn it into a creature. That felt kind of boring, but it didn't wind up working out that way. It seemed too simple. I don't know what I wanted, but it felt too simple at first. But once I saw it and played it and stuff, it works. Like, it works much better than I thought it when I first looked at it.
Because a lot of vehicles have better abilities than the creatures that you're jamming in there.
Yep.
And it's not... You also don't just blindly jam them into a deck.
Yep.
Like, you have to, put some thought into it and have a reason for running them and stuff, which is a kind of a power limitation, too. They can make them a little bit stronger because it's not like Lightning Greaves where it's just good in every deck.
Yeah, like the one vehicle that taps for mana. So it's a mana rock, or let's crew it up.
Right. What a great little vehicle that
Yep.
is, too. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff like that. It was just a fun year.
Yeah.
And, the gods are fun to get. Like, the first 5 monocolor ones in Amonkhet weren't great.
I would put
but
them
I like
on,
the characters.
on par, if not slightly better than Theros gods.
I would disagree with you.
You would. I
Yeah.
don't like Devotion seems hard to come by, whereas the other ones is just, they have a stipulation.
Sure.
And if you meet that stipulation, then they're online where it's harder to disrupt that type of stipulation.
I would say on the whole, they're not as strong as the Theros gods, but they're easier
To activate.
to activate.
Yes.
And
That's
use.
where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Their abilities are not near as good as the ones on Theros.
Right. And that's kind of where I judge him is
Yep.
Ronus is not as good as Nylea. He's easier to activate, but he's not giving your whole
Okay.
team trample.
Oketra isn't as good as Heliod.
Right.
But the 3 multicolor gods
Are broken.
are fantastic.
Yes.
Like, really, they just come back all the time. That's not
Yeah,
supposed to happen.
You say broken jokingly. They're not broken, but
No.
they're good. They're strong
Yes.
and good, and I liked them a lot. Those were all 3 of those guys were home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk individual sets and let's talk about cards specifically from sets. And we're not going to go into, hey, this card costs 4 mana and it does this, because at this point you should know this isn't a review set. This is a year in review, and we pretty much know what these cards are. We're just going to talk about the cards from each set that are, I don't know if staples is the right word, but they're cards that you are going to see
Going forward.
going forward in decks. I mean, there are cards, sure, that this, cool pirate's going to be in pirate decks and stuff, but it's not going to be anywhere else.
Yep.
We're talking about cards that are just going to be in decks because they're unique or they're powerful or some combination of both.
Yep.
So let's start with Eighth Revolt, which came out in January. That was the back half of Kaladesh. What jumps out for you guys out of Eighth Revolt as cards that are part of kind of the Magic canon moving forward?
Rishkar's Expertise.
Yeah. That's the one I was going to say, too.
I don't know if we discussed plans to talk about the best card of the year.
This might be it.
I mean, if I were to pick one, Rishkar's Expertise may be it. It's definitely going to be probably in my top 3. It's not broken, but it feels like it's broken. It feels like you're cheating when you cast it, for sure.
I don't think it's broken. I mean, at
It
the
isn't.
mana
It's
cost
not.
for it and what it actually does, it's quite not broken.
And it doesn't do any good in your 1-drop elf deck. It doesn't do
Yep.
any good in Edric. It doesn't do any good in Doran. There's a lot of decks where it doesn't get you any value because your creatures are small. But there's a lot of decks where you just close the game out because you just generate so much value.
Right. I'm considering running it in my new Crush deck. But it's 3 colors, and I'm not going heavy on green, but it just adds so much value to where that double green just might be worth it to try jamming it in there just to draw off
I would
Crush.
put it in there. I think I think you'll be happy with it in that deck.
So now, with Rishkar's Expertise, is there a hard limit that you guys think of for power to put it into the deck?
I'm not running it in my Glissa the Trader deck because I only have a couple creatures that make it strong, and it's just not in that deck. It wouldn't be great. I don't know if there's. I think you kind of have to eyeball it. I don't have any rules for it myself. It's just kind of you look at it and make the call.
If I had to put a rule in place, I would say 3 power.
3 power? I was guessing more around 4 for the mana cost on it.
If I didn't have, if I have a 3-drop, a 3-power creature on the field and I have something in my hand I want to cast off of that Rishkar's Expertise, I'm going to
that's
cast that
true.
Rishkar's
That's true.
Expertise
Just to cheat it in.
to draw more and cheat something else
Yeah.
in. If I don't have anything in my hand, then yeah, I probably would lean more towards the 4 or 5 power range just so I'm going to get a couple extra cards to maybe cast off of Rishkar's
Okay.
expertise.
Makes sense.
And if your commander has a big body, that makes it a lot easier to run too.
Mm-hmm.
Your commander's got a good chance of being in play, which makes
I
it
don't
a
know what
lot.
you're talking about. Ural just doesn't. It just doesn't work.
Right, right,
At
exactly.
all. You know, I love to draw 20 cards, but I don't put that in there.
So we also reach out on Twitter to people, and as we mentioned, cards we're going to throw out anybody who like these. Rishkar's expertise in particular, we had 3 people: Daniel Kraus, James Arnquist on Twitter, and Jason Alt all chimed in about Rishkar's expertise being one of the best of the year. Next one I'm going to mention out of Aether Revolt, Paradox Engine. Now,
Yeah.
Paradox Engine may be broken. Talk about maybe a broken card.
Max and I were discussing this card paired with a few others earlier, and yes, it could be very broken.
The fact that it doesn't untap your lands is probably the only positive thing I can say about that card.
And it can be super dirtily. Like, I've seen people use it and not do anything.
I'm just gonna go 4 cards. We're gonna start Soul Ring, Paradox Engine, Icycron Scepter, Brain Freeze. Game win.
And then the game's just done at that
Yep.
point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a 4-card. I mean, you have to have all 4 of those cards out. That's like,
Well, if you have any mana rocks to just
Yes.
to tap the Icycron again, it's game over.
particularly if you're in a deck that's running. I mean, even without combos, it's really easy just to generate a ton of value with it.
Yeah,
But
no kidding.
It's fine. I don't love it.
I don't run it. I actually don't,
I don't have
see
it
it
in my
in the
decks either.
shop.
I've seen it a couple times, but it's not prevalent. Whereas I've seen more Rishkard expertise cast in a single game than I've seen Paradox Engines cast in total.
Not my fault. I cast it 2 times once.
We had Patrick Sapola reach out to us. That was one of his nominations. That was also one of James Arnquist, who says it's a right answer as one of the best cards of the year, but it's boring. And I agree. I actually, yeah, that's a good idea. You have to pick it. It's so strong, and it's so easy to run, but it's also not a card I really care about.
See, it's
Right.
one of these cards that I see people put in, and all they do is they dirtle with it.
It's easy to screw up, too. It's easy to
Yes.
use it badly,
It's not a seedboard muse, and I think that's what people want it to be.
where it's just accidentally good in every deck.
Yes.
Sure. What else we got from Aether Revolt?
There's quite a few. Give me another one to look up.
Life Crafter's Bestiary.
I love this card.
See, these are all cards that I don't play.
This is the 3-drop artifact.
Yes, that you creature comes into play, you pay a green and
Draw a card,
card.
and you can scry 1 at your upkeep.
Yep.
Bestiary, the card I compared to, this is 2017's Tamio's Journal, where it's not backbreaking. It's not. You don't even really want to remove it. It's like not good enough to justify removing it, but it just flies under the radar doing work the whole game.
Yes.
So speaking of Tamio's Journal, there is someone at our LGS, I will not name names, who venomously, his exact words, venomously hates Tamio's Journal.
Really?
Yes.
I know who this is. I yelled
Wow.
at him.
Of all the cards to hate, that's bizarre.
Yes, he's like, you guys talk about it all the time, and I just venomously hate it. So
I
I had to bring it up.
All right, I'll have to figure out who that is. That's awesome. Of all the cards, that's bizarre.
Let's just say we chat with him a lot on Slack. So
I will have to figure out who that is. That's interesting. All right. Okay.
so back where were we? Sorry about that, guys.
Life Crafter's Bestiary.
Yes.
Okay, Crafter's Bestiary.
I mean, in a green creature-based deck, it's worthy of consideration in any green deck that runs creatures, which is most green decks.
Yeah. I think any mono green or for sure 2 color green decks with at least a dozen creatures.
You would not go wrong putting it in your deck.
Right.
Maybe you don't need to run it, but like it will always do work in that deck.
The scry alone is worth it.
Yes.
You don't have to tap it. You just have to sit there and you scry
Yep.
at your upkeep.
How about Disallow out of the same set? I have been a little bit let down by Disallow when I ran it.
This was my disappointment of the year.
Really?
Yes.
But I still think it's a good card. I just was really hyped about it, and it didn't quite.
It's good, but it's not good at the same time. I mean,
Exactly.
it's a better cancel. That's
It
pretty
is.
much all I can say about
It is. And I would run it over like Dissipate, and I would probably run it over Dissolve at the same CMC.
I'd probably run it over Dissolve, but I don't know about Dissipate. That exile off of
Exile
a
can
counter
be
just
useful.
seems better.
I think the problem, I think 10 years ago, this is a bomb counter spell,
Yes.
but it's got enough competition in that slot, and the game has evolved enough where 3 is a lot to leave up.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice having a stifle in standard, I guess.
It
I
is.
don't. I've never seen it used as a stifle, but
Yeah, those were exactly my notes. I've never seen it be used as a stifle, and if you need something that is a stifle, just run stifle.
Sure.
True.
I've got one more from Aether Revolt. I mean, you guys have anything else?
See, I wasn't really happy with the set overall. I mean, I can think of a few other ones that could be broken. Like one of them's banned in 1v1 Commander, but aside from that, I don't know. Well, I'll hear what you got to say.
I have a couple. Hidden Stockpile.
Hidden Stockpile is a sneaky card. It's an uncommon, and there was like this string of these uncommons that were good for drawing. Vampiric Rites.
Yep.
Was an uncommon that kind of did a similar thing, and there was a green one that let you, when a creature sacrifice a creature to reveal cards from top of your arbitrary, reveal a creature card and put it in your hand. And I can't remember what it's called.
It's an Eldritch Evolution?
No, because it's an enchantment. But I think you could do it
The
for
2-mana enchantment
Yeah.
from Origins.
Yes.
I can't think of it neither. It's like something evolution.
It is something
It
evolution.
wasn't Eldritch Evolution, but yeah, Evolutionary Leap.
Evolutionary Leap.
Evolutionary
There we
Leap. So this is kind of in a similar
Yeah.
vein.
I mean, I don't have a deck that uses Hidden Stockpile, but I just like that it.
I do.
Of course you do.
You run it in your
Alesha deck.
deck?
No, I'm running it in Campbell.
Oh, that would make sense.
Mhm.
I mean, it can refuel. You sack a creature to scry, so it's a sack outlet. And then the revolt trigger, if you do it on your turn, that token or whatever you sack gets replaced by a servo.
Yeah, it's a nice little value card.
Yep, I like the ability to scry. I mean, it goes into place with other cards that sack a creature to scry. So
Yep.
In Commander, scrying's huge when you don't have, like in Black and White, you don't have a lot of the card draw that you need.
What else we got?
Those were all mine.
My other one
Let's
is
hear 'em.
Heroic Intervention was my last one.
Really?
I love that card. I think that's maybe an underrated card. 2 mana to make yourself indestructible and hexproof.
Do you run it?
I'd run it in 2 decks, and
Really?
I would consider it more. It saves anything from. It stops targeted removal. Essentially, it's a counter spell for targeted removal. You could use it to hold up to stop a board wipe. So you can use it to save one dude. You can use it to save your board. It doesn't stop a rift, but it stops a lot of stuff in mono green or in any green deck.
Yeah. It's something I've considered for my green decks because I've seen it get played and it hoses me when they play it. It's definitely a good card, but it's I want it in Dramoka, but I don't know what to get rid of because that hexproof would be really nice.
Yeah, I kind of avoid tricksy cards like
I have been very happy with it.
Okay.
So
That's no bringing up of the legendary guy who's 2 mana, who's a 1/3, who
Brawl.
yes.
I really didn't go with many commanders just because we talk about them so extensively.
He doesn't even have to be the commander,
But
though.
he's good.
Just good in the deck.
And the same
as
thing,
well.
Shram is
Yes.
worth talking about too, because if you're running an equipment deck or an aura deck in white, you're probably running Shram. You should be running Shram. He's an extra enchantress or an extra equipment enchantress if you're running one of those.
Hate that card.
Oh, I love it. I've suited him up so many times too.
And then getting tainted striked by
Oh,
player.
I forgot about that.
Okay, we need to rewind to games we played.
Oh, I
We
totally
we
spaced
We need to
that.
talk about that now.
All right, let's a little quick aside.
So 2 weeks ago, the Tuesday night before Christmas, we're at the card shop. A nice little 4-player game. Chris had his Euro deck out, and he wasn't doing much, so he played SRAM, suited him up, and he had like 9 damage coming my way with double strike.
Yeah, well, that's because you countered my Ural.
I did.
I wasn't going to do anything else but just
I
play
did.
Ural, and you countered him, so I'm like,
And it wasn't even 9
just
double
attack.
strike. It was 4 with double strike.
yes, it
Yes.
was 4 with double strike, so it was only like 8 damage.
Yep. So I'm like, okay, that's not bad.
I'll take that.
So I didn't declare blockers. I'm like, yeah, it's 8 damage. Well, then, so Chris was player 4. I was player 1. So player 2, Steve goes, can I do this? And he taps his mana and he goes, Tainted Strike on SRAM. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I flipped. I just was like, that's crap.
He didn't even pick up his cards. He just stood up and walked away.
I did. Lethal Infect from the non-infect player.
Yep, that was nice.
And whatever I did right before that, like I got to draw a card and the answer, like that was my game winner is the next card I drew. I'm like, I just got to make it to my turn, and that didn't happen.
Shouldn't have forced my Ural.
Oh, I drew Archaeomancer. There, I had the lock. The
Yep,
lock
you
was in
did.
place next turn.
All right, April, we got the first set of Amonkhet. Now, this one I thought was the weakest of all the sets. I thought it was.
The first set. Yeah. Yeah.
Not that it
wasn't that powerful.
There's good cards in it, but I had a much easier time finding really good cards in other sets than I did in Amonkhet.
Now, the invocations were pretty good.
Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
So okay, and my cat one jumps out at you guys as being kind of staple-ish cards we're going to be seeing a lot of moving forward.
How about Lord of Accursed?
I had Lord of Accursed on there as well as an uncommon. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it probably should be in most zombie decks. It's not a staple in other decks, but like in a zombie deck, you're going to run it. It's just a really solid card.
So there's one that I was thinking, Max and I were discussing this. I didn't actually write this one down, so I can't remember what set it was in. But was Throne of the God Pharaoh in Amonkhet?
Throne of the God Pharaoh is in the first Amonkhet set,
Okay.
yeah.
That one is...
Throne's on my list as well. Throne's an excellent card.
My exact notes on Throne of the God Pharaoh are, in all caps, stupidly broken card.
And honestly, I think people still don't realize how good it is. It's one of those cards in like a couple years, you'll see it in a lot of decks, but I still think it doesn't get played enough in token decks.
Yeah,
in
token
particular.
decks in general. I mean, you just swing, blindly and just be like, "Roar!"
And then drop it on second main phase.
Yeah.
Because it's colorless. It goes in anything.
It doesn't have to do a ton of damage. It doesn't have to win the game, but like if it's in play for 2 or 3 turns in some decks, it's going to deal 10 damage to every person over the course of those 2 or 3 turns.
And
frequently.
it hits all opponents.
It's
that's
all opponents,
that's
too.
the broken part.
Yep.
That's the extremely
And
broken
it
part.
requires you to do nothing that you weren't already doing.
Exactly.
Like you just play it and then do the stuff you were going to do in a lot of decks, and it just is adding bonus damage.
Yep.
Yeah, aside from that, there's really not too much in the set. I mean, I could troll you a little bit and say, cancel, but we'll leave that for another day.
I liked As Foretold, the 3-mana blue enchantment.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It takes time to get going.
It's a slow roll. It's not going to be in every deck. It doesn't do anything the turn it comes into place. You have to wait a turn or two. But in the right deck, because you can use it on other players' turns for the free spell. It can generate in some decks. It can be fantastic.
This is one card that I never worry about it right away when they drop it.
Yep.
But I really regret not worrying about it like 3 turns later because, now you also have Swarm Intelligence out and you flip that Thematic Compass and
Exactly.
all these extra spell doublers.
Yep. I can think of a card that would be special just for Dana and one of his decks, the new Gideon.
New Gideon was both. I put both Gideons. I have the new Gideon.
Oh,
and
you
the
play the bad one
and
too?
the bad dual deck Gideon is in my De Giro deck.
Because you scrape the bottom of the barrel for mono
You
white
bet you do.
planeswalkers.
That
I also-
deck is very hard to play too. I played it that one day, and it's you would think that blue is hard to play because you're always decision making what you're doing. No, this mono white planeswalkers is like, okay, if I do this and this screws up, I'm set back like 6
Yeah,
turns. And
right.
I have to figure out what I'm going to do after.
That's what makes it fun, I think. Well, speaking of Gideon, I like Gideon's Intervention that was in that set.
I love that card.
That's very good. It's much better than Pithing Needle. Much better.
Yes.
It is white, so you're stuck in white to use it, but I mean, it can stop a lot of decks.
It
Really
saved
great
me.
against Voltron decks.
Yep. It saved me because it's any card.
Right. Yes.
It stopped Dana one night from repeatedly casting a forbid.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it
I'm
saved,
like-
yes.
Gideon's Intervention forbid, and you looked puzzled.
I
You're
did.
like, any card. Never mind.
Yep. Yeah, it's a versatile little card.
Yep. How about Harvest Season?
I like Harvest Season, but I've never actually ran it or cast it.
Yeah,
I
haven't
like it in
found-
theory.
Haven't found anywhere to put it neither. I mean, if I had, say, like Gave tokens, I would probably put it in there. Being in a 3-color deck, be able to go so many different lands.
That returns all the lands from your graveyard to play, correct?
No,
Nope.
it's search your library for up to X basic land cards.
Oh,
where X
which
is
is
the
a
number
number
of
of-
tapped
yep.
creatures you control. So you just swing blindly with like 6 tokens and go for 6 lands.
Yep, that's right.
I think, though, the problem with this card, because you need it in like a 3-color deck or a token type deck, in those decks, you don't run a lot of basics.
True.
So by the time you get to that point where you have enough creatures to maybe make it worthwhile, you might be out of basics.
Okay.
So now it's a dead card in your hand.
I like the card. I like the concept of it. I haven't found a slot to put it in.
Yeah.
It was one of those cards when I first saw it split, I was like, oh, that is disgusting. But no one ever has quite used it.
This is very similar to a card we'll talk about a little later, Traverse the Outlands.
Yes.
They have the
Yes.
same kind of hurdles they got to get over.
So should we move on to Our Devastation?
I have
July?
one
All
more
right,
for
what's your one more?
Cascading Cataracts.
Which one was cast?
That's the land that taps for colorless, or you can pay 5 generic to add 5 of any color to
Yep.
your pool.
I'm running it in. No, I'm not running it anywhere. But in a 5-color deck, I would definitely probably be running it because it's
Yep.
a perfect fixer.
I think it's
almost another
better.
Chromatic Lantern.
It's like a Chromatic Lantern, and it's better than The one from Planar Chaos?
Grand Coliseum or something.
Yeah.
There's one more that does a similar effect that's not as good.
And there's one that from an older set that you can tap to add Wooburg.
Yep.
But it's straight Wooburg
Right.
versus any combination.
Yes. Yeah, in a 5-color deck, this perfectly gets you what you need.
Okay, how about one more? And I do believe there's 5 of them. I'll lump them all into one. The monuments.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just lump them all in as
Sure.
one. Each of them do something special for each of their colors.
I'm
so.
running I've got 3 different monuments in decks.
Yeah, I mean, at 3 mana, they all do something good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like a medallion because they
Yep.
make stuff cost cheaper, and then they all have a special ability to go with them.
I'm using the green one in a deck, the black one, and the white one.
I like that they're multi-versatile because the cost reducing is for a specific color.
Yep.
But the second ability is just a creature.
In general, yeah.
It doesn't have to be that color.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hour of Devastation from the month of
The
July,
Hour.
halfway through the year.
Oh,
Now-
geez, was that July?
Yeah. Now, I thought Hour had more good commander cards than the first larger Amonkhet set.
I would agree with that.
Our had quite a few of them.
The one that I've only seen it played, I think, twice. Hour of Revelation is the white board wipe. It's essentially a Chroma's Vengeance without the cycling. But you can cast it for 3 white mana if there's 10 permanents on the field.
That triple white, though, ugh.
Triple white, but you can't run it in a 3 or more color deck. I mean, you can, but it's tough to hit.
Yep.
In a mono white deck or a 2-color deck, though, that's relatively easy to get to. 3 mana for a board up at that is disgusting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, much better than Bantu's Reckoning or whatever it is. Bantu's
Because
Last Reckoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, your lands can untap your next turn.
Yeah, they can't untap.
But I remember Blasphemous Act took a while for everyone to realize, oh, that's insanely good.
And now
And
everyone has it.
And I feel like this is going to be the same thing.
Don't ever cast it when there's the green. He was red at one time. I can't think of his name. He turns your lands into 1/1s.
Kamal.
Yes. Don't ever cast it when he's on the field. It will backfire.
Also, Solemnity was in the same set.
You know, I honestly think you're the only person I've ever seen who plays it. I don't think I've seen it come out of anybody
I don't
else's
think
deck.
I have seen anyone at the shop play it, but I've seen a lot of in a lot of decks online, and
Yes.
I think it's a really good card. It's not something you generically jam in any deck. But
No.
the decks where it works, it does a lot of work. It's a unique card that's interesting. So I'm mentioning it specifically. It's not going to be a card that's a staple ever, but it's a unique card in the decks where it works. It does really cool stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
What else from you guys for Hour of Devastation?
I have one that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. Godfarrow's Gift. At 7 mana, I don't know if it's quite good enough, but at the beginning of your combat, you exile a creature card and you put in a copy of it out of your graveyard, but it's a 4/4.
Sure.
I thought about it for like Reanimator Shells or something like that, but just at 7 mana, it's a little hard to play.
I saw somebody cast it a couple weeks back in an elf deck
Elves, really?
because they were turning their 1/1 like Llanowar elves and garbage in their
Oh,
graveyard. into
no,
4/4
no,
yeah,
no.
4/4s. I thought that was kind of clever. And you
Yeah,
could
especially
maybe
if
in
you're playing Elves, you got so much mana ramp in there.
Yeah.
You're just,
maybe like in a merfolk deck or a bird deck or something where the deck is built around like cheap 1/1s, but it gives you a way to get value out of them after they're dead.
I like that idea. That concept sounds really good.
Max mentioned this already, but Swarm Intelligence.
Stupidly broken card.
I mean, I've cast it, I think 3 times in my Talrand deck, and it's always felt like I always cast it and then immediately like, how come they're letting me do this?
Yeah.
Someone should respond to this because this is not cool.
That is a card that you need to deal with immediately. Because it's not in your generic, I run 4 or 5 instants, I'm going to slam Swarm Intelligence into the deck. I'm running a Talrand deck, I'm running a Mizzix deck, I'm running a Malik deck,
I suppose by the time it comes down, though, too, a lot of people have already blown their removal that they had.
It's 7 mana, so yeah,
Yep.
it's late in the game. What's the enchantment from Cast Through Time? Same casting cost. Cast Through Time is an enchantment from original Zendikar block, and basically it gives all your instants and sorceries rebound.
Yep.
Which is fine. And I've ran it before, but I didn't put it. I took it out of my Talrand deck because the problem I had with it was, I didn't like waiting a turn to get the effect because it's rebound during your next upkeep.
Yep.
So if you cast your brainstorm or whatever, you have to wait the next turn to get the effect. If you cast whatever it does no good for counter spells. You cast a counter spell, who cares if it rebounds next turn? Whereas with Swarm Intelligence, all you get first of all, you get your stuff immediately. You get the double draw spell immediately, but it puts 2 counter spells in the stack. So for the same casting cost, Swarm Intelligence is almost always better than Cast for Time.
And
I would get behind that 100%.
And it's easier to cast. So
way
one
easier
blue
to cast, yeah.
versus 3 for Cast for Time. So I've been really, really happy with that in my decks. One more, there's 2 more giant ones. Well, if not 3 or 4. There's really good cards.
I'm waiting for you.
I
to
think
say
I've
the
mentioned like of the cards I have listed, those are the 3, maybe the 3 worst.
Yes.
So what else is there?
one. I know this one's on your list, but I'm gonna say it right now anyways. The Mirage Mirror, because I've had this thing eat me alive before.
Same here.
I mean, it's just generically good. Like it's not game breaking, but it's good in any deck.
Yes, it is.
That was one of the ones on Twitter that came up. We had DM Cross, Rick Amundsen, James Arnquist, and also Jason Alt all mentioned Mirage Mirror as one of their best of the year.
How about we just bring up the cats in the sets? That made
Sure, yeah.
made the with the arrival of Arabo and stuff like that made that deck a little bit better.
Regal, Caracal, there's the green one,
Pride Sovereign.
Pride Sovereign.
There's the
and
Eternalized one.
The Eternalized one is great in Arabo because it has double strike.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I that's kind of an honorable mention thing because
Yep.
you're not going to run them anywhere else, but those are going to be in Arabo decks.
That's
They
why
should be.
Just lump them all together.
Yeah.
Just the cats.
No, they're worth a mention for sure.
And flavor-wise, I guess we're in a mummy set, so.
Mm-hmm.
How about Ramanap Excavator?
Oh, Crucible of Worlds, how I've missed you.
It's one of those cards where, like, I think there are people that just slam it in their deck. I think you have to be in a certain deck to run it. You need to have enough fetch lands or stuff to recur with it.
Yep.
I would agree with that. Because I mean, it's a 2/3 for 3, so I mean, it's a body, I guess. But
yeah.
other than that, the ability on it's kind of lackluster if you're not playing around.
It's way more fragile than Crucible. It's way easier to remove than Crucible is. But it's also really strong.
You know, I almost wonder if it's kind of less scary than Crucible.
It is,
too.
for sure.
When you see them play, you kind of forget about it, whereas when Crucible hits field, you're like, oh, okay, we got to get rid of that now.
No, for sure. I agree with that 100%. It came out this week against me in a Gitrog monster deck, and it did a little bit of work, and then it died to a board wipe 2 turns later. That Crucible would have sat there for 6 turns, screwing us over in that Gitrog
I
deck.
suppose in a Gitrod deck, as long as it does a little bit of work, that's all it
Yeah,
needs to
you
be
bet.
there for.
I mean, if it comes into play and you bring back a fetch land and get your trigger off that, bring it back, crack it to draw the card, get your land, it's probably worth casting.
True.
Yep.
There's 2 huge ones that are probably in my top 5 for the year that are left that haven't been mentioned.
Yep, I can think of one.
Torment to Hailfire.
Kaboom!
There's nothing at all remotely skill intensive about Torment of Hailfire. You just spend a
Staying
bunch
alive until you
of
can
right.
cast
You
it.
spend a bunch of black mana and win the game probably.
Yeah.
But
And it doesn't even have to be a bunch of black mana.
right.
It needs to be 2.
Well, I was having a conversation. I think this was with Dean Goody, who is on the Commander Time podcast. We were talking about it on Slack a little bit, because the comparison is a Sanguinate.
Yeah.
But the difference is a Sanguinate on turn 4 or 5 doesn't really do much. Okay, you hit everyone for like 4 life and you gain 15. That's useful.
It puts a target on your back where
But
they
right,
just turn
right.
on
All
you.
you do is place a bullseye on your back.
Yep.
You cast Torment of Hailfire on turn 4 or 5 and hit everyone for, well, they'll probably still take the 9 damage, but like maybe not. Maybe they'll be like, oh, I'm going to pitch a few cards, or I'm going to, like, it scales really well early in a way that Exsanguinate doesn't.
Mhm.
And because it will do more damage early. And then late game, it's just as devastating. I mean, it doesn't auto win maybe, but it's super strong.
Yes. I do like the fact that a lot of people forget on Torment that you can discard cards out of
They
your
do.
hand.
Yeah.
Yes, they
So
do.
they start stacking permanents. I'm like, huh, sure, get rid of them.
Go right ahead. Yeah, it's a game winner.
Yep.
I mean, it's a bit in that Paradox Engine mold where I don't know if it's fun or anything. Like, I think Solemity's a fun card because you get to do goofy stuff with it. You're not doing goofy stuff with Torment of Hailfire. You're just winning the game.
True.
I think the best part about Torment, on top of everything else, is it's life loss, not damage.
Yes, and it's much tougher to get around.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a great card. And I've already seen it. I've lost probably to Torment more than I've lost to any card from this year. I mean, I've lost multiple times to Torment of Hailfire.
And you've
And
probably
I've won multiple games with Torment of Hailfire.
same.
too.
Yes,
Yes,
you've
you
probably
have.
lost to it by. We probably each lost to it by someone on the show right now.
Right, yes. There's one more.
I know what it is.
Me too.
What is it?
It is Torment Script. Wait, no, Pajuka Bog. No, wait. It's Scavenger Grounds.
Scavenger Grounds. That's not at all a flashy card. and it should be in almost every deck. Not, I mean, it should be in most decks, not every deck, but like,
If your mana curve or your colors allow it, it should be in the deck.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, right, a 5-color deck, maybe you don't have room for it. 4-color deck, maybe you don't. 3 or less, I've got it, I think, it might be in every one of my decks now. If not, it's close to it. And if it isn't in every deck, it's because I don't have enough.
Yes.
Yeah, it hits you, but like Bojuka Bog, you have to have a graveyard that you want to remove actively there waiting to hit
Yep,
with it.
and it's a targeted. It's
Right.
not everybody.
This is just in play, and you can respond to somebody doing a Living Death.
Yep.
Or respond to someone, Rise of the Dark Realms or whatever. This is like a vegetables card. Like no one wants to eat their vegetables, but man, you can't just eat cupcakes, man. Like you need to have stuff like this in your deck because this will this won't win you the game, but it's going to keep you from losing. And it's easy to slot into most decks.
Like you said, unlike Bojuka Bog, this doesn't come in and have to do it right away.
Yes.
It's so nice.
I guess my biggest advice to people who are building decks is look at your colorless cards your colorless lands that you're playing, and if they're doing nothing for you, put a Scavenger Grounds in.
Yeah.
'Cause it will do work for you.
You bet. That's what I've got for Hour. That's it.
All I had as well.
That's a lot of cards though for a small set.
There are a lot of cards.
August, we had Commander 17.
Oh, what are we? I apologize again. This is like my 10th time saying this. The Ur-Dragon is phenomenal. I bashed it so hard during our review set of it, but it is phenomenal.
So first, let's say, are there any commanders you want to single out as being worth mentioning? Because every year there's some commanders. There's new commanders that you just never see again. Someone plays them for 5 minutes and then they're just never atop a deck ever again. Casado or something like that. Or well, I think Casado's a decent card, but Azuri is so much better in that deck. Everyone
Yes.
just runs Azuri.
Right.
So there's always a few of those. But what are the ones that you think will remain commanders moving forward? I think Edgar for sure.
Edgar, and I think Ur-Dragon, and I think Ramos.
Ramos
Yes.
is crazy.
I knew Ramos was going to be good, but he's way better than I thought.
And Balin.
I think Balin and Arabo's really solid too. Miri I think is better in a deck than she is maybe as a top one.
Yep.
But although she's good.
Yeah, Arabo is definitely a fast aggro deck. Like if you're not paying attention, they will take over the game in
Yeah.
a quick hurry.
Yeah.
And all three of the Grixis all three of those Grixis wizards are playable and solid.
Yes. I think Kess is a little lackluster. I thought she would be good, but
She's dirtily,
yes.
Very dirtily.
but she's solid. I mean, I've lost games to Kess, so
You know, and I have yet to see the one with the cage counters.
I have not seen it either. Yeah,
I've seen all the
that's the
lists
big that's the
and,
big Reddit hype one, but I've not
Yeah.
seen one in the game.
No.
Which one was that?
Marisol the Pretender.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, the mana cost on it is very efficient. The abilities on it are very efficient. I've yet to see
Yeah.
someone build it.
I think it's one of those cards that requires you to have either a really deep collection or just say, I'm just going to buy 15 of these obscure, uncommon wizards from Odyssey. You know, like a lot of the cards
Yeah.
in the deck are old stuff that people just don't have lying around.
Yep.
So
Now, so the vampire that we hated, I don't even remember his name. Was it Mathis or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yes.
Has anyone even seen him played in a deck period?
I have seen a deck led by him.
Oh, really?
Yes, our friend Austin.
oh,
The,
he built
the
Mathis
first
deck.
time I've seen him in maybe like 2 months, he played a Mathis deck, and all it is Marduk control.
Really?
So he puts a counter on something, then he kills it. Puts a counter on something, kills it. It's all kill spells. Single target kill spells.
So how was it?
He got land screwed, but I wasn't terribly impressed. Like it seems like it's without Mathis, that deck isn't doing anything.
Okay. So it's pretty much built around him. but
Yep.
I honestly didn't think he was going to do too much anyways. I mean, maybe inside of a deck he might have a slot, but at the helm, no way.
I've seen a lot of, it's kind of like the hipster deck build where people are like, I'm going to make this cool, unique Mathis deck that no one else has ever thought of. And it doesn't work. But like that's what I've seen a lot of those online where someone
Yeah,
has
I
their.
don't have no problem playing against it. Just seeing if someone comes up with the list that's just phenomenal. I would love to see
Because
it.
I just don't think there is that list. But yeah. So how about utility cards out of C17?
How about the one that I want to get altered?
Which one is that?
Teferi's Protection? We call it Teferi's Bathroom Break. I want to
He's
get it altered of him sitting on the toilet with the newspaper in front of him.
It's like, okay, I'm casting this and I'm out of here. See you guys next turn. Yeah, that's great. That's a really good card. That got mentioned. We got that from James Arnquist as well as one of his best of the year. Oh, and sorry, I'll go back quick and say we had a bunch of people that shouted out Scavenger Grounds as well. That was Nate Burgess, Dean Goody as well. So anyway, back to Commander. I think Kindred Discovery is really good. That's the blue Discovery. You draw a card whenever you choose a creature type when it comes into play,
Okay.
and you draw a card whenever a creature of the chosen type attacks or comes into play.
Yep.
But as it comes into play, it's not cast.
Right.
So if you have a token deck making any kind of token as well as aggroing and attacking, it's really, really, really good, I think.
I think that might get slotted into my Merfolk deck that I'm building.
I would put it in a Merfolk deck for sure.
With Deep-Root Waters available now, whenever you cast a Merfolk,
yes.
you get a 1/1 token that comes into play with hexproof. So you're getting like double the triggers with Kindred Discovery. So
Deep-Root Waters, it will get that for Ixalan. That's a really, really good card. That's a Merfolk staple.
yes,
Yeah.
but it can only go in Merfolk.
Right, it only works in Merfolk.
That's why I didn't mention that one.
Max mentioned this earlier, Traverse the Outlands.
Yes, so Traverse the Outlands is the search for X basic lands equal to the greatest power of creature you control.
I've seen it cast, I think, twice. It kind of has that Boundless Realms thing going on where maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
a little overkill at the point in the game when you cast it. Like, you maybe don't need that much ramp at that point in time, so you use your whole turn ramping to maybe have a big turn next turn.
I know this is one of those cards that we've always had a discussion about for the CMC between that and the other ones. Couldn't they have slotted one in between it that was a little bit better? But
Yeah. And again, this falls into the bucket of how many basics do you have to run in order to make this card worthwhile?
Because by the time you cast it, you already have quite a few of them in play.
You theoretically, yes.
And then you're going to go get another 6 or 8. Maybe you don't have enough, depending on how many are in your deck.
I'm just going to play Teamer and play that, all the mana ramp. That's all going to be basics. I'm going to play Blood Moon and back to basics and laugh at
That's
everybody.
it.
Oh, God.
That sounds
And then
like
the green
not a
one
good time.
that forces everybody to sack their non-basics and then go for basics.
The wave of vitriol.
I had one more out of here I'll talk about quick, was Path of Ancestry, which is the tribal land that lets you scry when you cast a creature that shares a type with your commander. Basically, though, it's a command tower that comes into play tapped. I mean,
Yep.
So it makes any color. So it's probably worth considering in a 5-color deck, even if it isn't tribal. It's a ETB tapped land that makes anything. That's probably worth it in a 5-color deck. In a tribal deck, though, it's great.
Scry trigger is nice.
And I think Unclaimed Territory falls into a similar. That's an Ixalan, but that's kind of a similar thing. If you're playing a tribal deck, Unclaimed Territory also is probably worth running in almost any non-mono tribal deck.
Yep. I do like Blood-Forged Battle Axe a lot.
The decks that want it's way. I didn't pay attention to it at all when I read the spoilers. So I was like, oh, whatever. I kind of blew it off. Seeing it in play, it's disgusting in the right deck.
I mean, just any equipment deck. I mean, it costs 3 mana overall to play it and equip it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you deal damage, guess what? I get another one.
And if you have Balino, where you can equip 15 of them for 2 mana.
Oh
Right.
my God.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Could you then play? I do believe there's a card where I don't think it's in those colors, but you win the game if you have so many artifacts or something like that.
Yeah,
that's the Red Dragon.
Yeah, I think there might also be is there an artifact? No, I think I'm thinking of the dragon. Yeah, but still, yeah, it's a cool. You could play it if you were playing
New Boros tech. I'm going to
there
build
you go.
it.
in your new Boros
Oh.
equipment deck.
Oh, lordy.
Anything else from C7? There's a lot of good cards, but there wasn't
Tons.
there, but they weren't like game changing really. There were just a lot of really solid cards in the set.
Right.
I thought it was a really excellent year for a Commander product. So let's move on to Ixalan.
Oh, I want to say Dargans, but they're dinosaurs.
Well, that's a good. I'll give my kind of an honorable mention here. Beckett Brash and Gishath. I mean, they're not broken cards or anything, but both those 2 cards, in addition to the set, made tribal pirates and dinosaurs viable.
Yep. I've yet to see either of them too.
I haven't either in the shop. I don't think I have. I saw someone playing a Gishath deck, but it wasn't against me. I wasn't in the game.
Okay.
I think with the next Ixalan, what is it, Rivals? Or
Yeah.
Whatever. I think you might end up getting enough to finally build the deck. It might not be good, but you'll probably have enough to go through.
You can do it now, but I think that will put it over the top. Plus, we're also going to get in Rivals, they're going to do another creature type change. So some more creatures will become dinosaurs retroactively as well.
Ooh.
So we'll get new dinosaurs in Rivals, and we'll get some old cards that become dinosaurs.
Okay.
Yep. And I think we'll see some monocolored ones because we got that spoiler of the black elder dinosaur.
There was art in the art book that showed and had names for 5 of them, so it looks like we'll get an elder dinosaur in every color.
Cool.
I like it. Should
What
we
else?
should we give a shout out to your cancel because they reprinted it
They
again?
did. Cancel came back. Woot woot.
And what Manolith was in our
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's been a year for printing bad cards that write about an EDH deck.
Yeah. So if any of you guys who ever listened to our roundtable and you heard me talking about cancel and Manolith for my votes, all I was doing was trolling Dana.
we have to talk about the flip enchantments, our artifacts, any of the transform cards really.
Agreed.
So the 5 worst are still interesting, and the 5 best are staples.
Yes.
It would be my argument. Legion's Landing, Growing Rights, Search for Azcanta, Dowsing Dagger, and Primal Amulet are the best 5. And I've seen those so often already, and they're all good. They're not all great. Like Legion's Landing is the weakest of the bunch, but I've seen it multiple times, and I've played it multiple times, and it always does work.
The cool thing I liked about all these flips is that if you get all the promos,
The promos are gorgeous to the flip on
And-
the backside.
they flip to the backside, and if you have all of them, they actually build the map of the Ixalan.
Yep.
If you put them all together,
That's awesome.
which was a cool way to do it, because the originals do not, or original foils do not. It has to be the promos that do.
Yep.
And they also have a watermark on the front side that's foiled out too,
Yep.
if that's a thing you like, which I do.
Oh yeah, we know you do.
So
You know, you play your Glissa deck, and I go, oh, sunglasses.
so bright and shiny. So yeah, and Max is running Dowsing Dagger, I know, in at least one deck.
I run that in Dramoka.
And every time because you basically played and flip it immediately.
Yes.
It's immediately Gilded Lotus. It's immediately a Lotus Veil.
Play, give someone those plant tokens because they don't matter.
And it never matters. We're not saying that, like, sometimes we joke that, like, losing life doesn't matter. Losing life matters. I've lost games to Sylvan Library, or lost games to my own Phyrexian Arena before. Giving someone those plant tokens doesn't matter. Like, you just...
And most of the time when you give them to them, you're choosing the player that's usually behind, and they're just like, oh, thank God, I have something to do now.
And sometimes it actively helps you.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
it keeps them stabilized a little bit long enough for you to maybe get ahead. It's... That card is fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I just picked up the one that flips into Maze of Ith the other day. I had someone who's looking
Thematic Compass.
for a Sarah Ascendant, and I traded it for it.
I've flipped it easily. It flips very, very easily in my Mina and Den deck, and I have it in Glissa, and I'm taking it out just because I don't need it. But even in that deck that isn't the landfall deck, it flips easily.
Hmm.
Primal Amulet, copying a spell, is I've never had it not just dominate the game too.
It's a mirror pool.
It's a repeatable mirror
Yeah.
pool
Yeah.
that doesn't cost you mana to use. It doesn't cost you a land. Mirror pool is really, really good, and this is better than mirror pool.
Yeah.
And the front side, reducing the cost on your spells, isn't nothing.
No, it's awesome. I mean, instant
Like, it's-
sorceries cost 1 less.
It's not work to flip it. It's actually helping you until you flip it. It's useful to get there.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I mean, people were kind of freaking out, and maybe I can't remember if we did too, about Growing Rights being, it's a flip guy's cradle.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not as good as what I thought it would be.
but it's still really, really good. Like, it's still dominate. When it gets flipped, it still changes the
Yeah.
game.
I haven't seen the blue one at the shop in an EDH deck.
I've
Search
seen
for
it- I've seen
Azcanta?
it
Yep.
twice.
It's actually a really good card. That filtering in it,
It's really, really, it's just really solid.
maybe it's something you
Interesting.
should think about for Brago. Wink, wink,
I
wink.
have one sitting right on the other side of the wall here.
Well, if you don't use it, I might trade for it because I do want one for my 3-color Sidisi deck.
Nice.
Oh, that would be bad in Sidisi.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Max, don't trade it.
We'll start the bidding at.
also in Ixalan, Sunbird's Invocation is kind of the red version of Swarm Intelligence in a way. Doesn't copy your spell, but it basically gives you kind of a cascade-like
I've
effect.
seen it played, and when it goes good. When it doesn't, it goes real bad.
There was a lot of internet hype on it. I saw a lot of people on Reddit talking about it. I think it is good. I don't think you want to just jam it in a red deck.
It's definitely not paying off when you have it out and you cast a brainstorm.
Right.
But when you drop a 4-drop and you can go cast a 4 or less for free, that's pretty good.
We had that was mentioned by DM Cross and Rick Amundsen as well as being one of the better of the year.
So I'm going to bring up one that is not really Commander related, but in Magic in general it is. The reprinting of Opt and making it modern legal.
Was So as a modern player, how have you liked that so far?
I don't play it, but I know a lot of people who have been playing it, and that additional 1 mana cantrip has made a difference in some decks.
I think the most important thing about the Opt reprint was that I had an original foil that I was able to trade away. That went from being like 50 cents to got me like $35 in trade value. So that was my favorite part of the Opt reprint.
Yeah, like I said, it's not Commander related, but just that reprint to make it modern legal has just caught me off guard.
They did a lot of stuff like that with Ixalan. Didn't they reprint Spell Pierce? What was the
yes.
But that was already legal.
It was already, but it was reprinted, so went from a $2 or $3 card down to like $1.
Right, and seeing it in Standard is another different thing.
I haven't seen it because Standard is energy, so you don't really see any counters right now. I
have one more I will mention.
Okay.
Chart a Course.
Oh, such a good card. I've played that one a lot in Standard.
I mean, again, this is like one of those not flashy cards at all, but 2 mana. There's not a lot of cards for 1 blue that do a Night's Whisper kind of effect where you draw 2.
Yep.
And what's really slick about it is the fact that the raid trigger you can control. Actually, it's not raid, is it?
It's pretty much raid. It's raid, but it's not keyworded as raid.
So if you attack, you don't have to discard a card.
Yep.
But if you do, you do.
Yeah. Either way, you're filtering. You're still drawing 2 cards and just filtering.
But sometimes you want to get that card in your graveyard. It's like you have the option to, I want to make sure I have to discard something into my graveyard for reanimation effects, so I'm going to cast it before my attack phase. Like it's a card that it's one of those. I always see old school pro players talk about how Brainstorm really separates the grown-ups from the kids because there's so many smart ways to play Brainstorm, so many things you can do with Brainstorm. This isn't obviously as skill intensive as Brainstorm, but there is a lot of skill in Chart a Course that you can utilize when you cast that card.
Yeah.
Or you can just draw 2 for 2 mana, which is really efficient.
That's another one that should go in Brago.
Yep.
So what else? Anything else from Ixalan worth talking about?
I have Carnage Tyrant. I thought about this hard. As an EDH card, I think it pretty good in a green Stompy deck. A 6 mana 7/6 that can't be countered and has hexproof.
It's really efficient.
Yes.
For what it means, for all the keyword soup on it, for all the things it does.
Yeah, I mean, just for a green Stompy, like you're always looking for something that is efficient in the mana cost, that's big and flashy and all that kind of stuff.
If you're building your green Stompy deck that just has every set's,
biggest beater,
that big beater that everyone has, right? This is this year's version of that you put in your deck alongside, what's the worm from
World Spine
from the World Spine Worm kind of cards,
or Giant Ataphage.
Yes, right. This is the version of those cards.
Another one that I thought about, Rampaging Pharasodon. Now this is my play style. It's a 3 mana 3/3 with menace. Players can't gain life, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield, he deals 1 damage to that creature's controller.
There are decks that totally screws over.
Yes. But this is like my play style. This is like my Mogus play style. Just going,
sure.
No.
We had a few people also specifically cite some Ixalan cards. Dean Goody mentioned just flip lands in general. Ryan from Commander Cookout mentioned Growing Rights specifically as being one of the best of the year. We had Mike M on Twitter that said Conqueror's Galleon is much better than you think. That was not one of my top 5s,
no.
But
that's a 2/6 for 3 or something like that.
That flips into a trading post-ish card, I believe.
Yep.
That's what it is. Yep.
It's a 2/10 for 4 with crew 4, and then when it attacks, exile it at the end of combat and return it to the battlefield transformed into the Conqueror's Foothold, which is the trading post-esque land.
And James Arnquist also mentioned most of the flip cards being good.
I'd like to just shoot out an honorable mention then to now financial wise, for most of us Commander players we had these, but the reprint of those lands.
Yeah.
Some of them spiked in price, some of them went way down in price, so they're easier to find.
Dragon Skull Summit, Glacial Fortress, Sun Petal Grove.
Yep, some of them spiked,
Rootbound
some of them went
Crag.
down, so they were easier to get a hold of. But financially, I mean, if you had them already, you were just like,
yeah. Ryan from Commander Cookout also mentioned that just as a concept in 2017, the resurgence of Tribal, both in Ixalan and C17, was his favorite part of one of his favorite parts of the year, and I agree with that totally.
Tribal
Me too.
Is phenomenal.
So here's we'll do a little quick quiz here at the end, a little game, because
Ooh.
Don Miner from EDH Rec did pull some data on the most frequently used cards of 2017.
Okay.
Now,
Now, are we talking out of the sets of 2017?
out of the 2017 sets.
Okay.
So these are new to 2017
I was gonna
cards.
say, how deep do I have to go into the memory pool for these cards?
and looking at it, we mentioned, well, we missed one of them that we should have mentioned. The other one,
Oh boy,
but most of these have came up. What do you think number one is?
out of 2017. Ugh.
Rishkar's expertise.
Number one is Path of Ancestry, but you have the precon effect because it's in a lot of precon
It's
decks.
in every precon.
People will
Okay.
just post their precon. So a lot of these were things that were, a couple of them were things that were in precons, but that was one. Vanquisher's Banner, which we didn't mention, was two. Out of Ixalan, the 5-drop.
Tribal,
Tribal.
It is tribal.
5 mana is a lot,
like
though.
a coat of arms type
I'd
thing,
almost
right?
rather drop Coat of Arms over that just for going straight in for the
I
kill.
don't have it in my Edgar deck either. It's fine. I just didn't love it. 3 was Unclaimed Territory, which we mentioned. 4 was Disallow. 5 was Paradox Engine. 6 was Growing Rights. 7 was Rishkar's Expertise.
Wow.
8 was Lifecrasher's Bestiary. 9 was Primal Amulet. And 10 was Anointed Procession, which we should have mentioned.
Wow, how do we pass that
yeah,
one
I'm not
up
sure
in
how we forgot
For
that
some
one,
reason,
too.
I'm thinking that was in a different set.
That was
Amonkhet?
that was in.
That was just recently.
It was an Aether
wasn't
Revolt. Yeah.
No, Amonkhet.
But anyway, that should be because if you're running a token deck with white, you're running it.
Yeah.
Yep, I have my foil timestamp that I'm gonna sit on because I have a feeling it's gonna spike in price.
It's gonna maintain its value. It's not gonna go down. It's a casual all-star. People love that, and it's really good in token decks. So the last thing we'll do here before we kick off the end of 2017 is let's look ahead to 2018 briefly. We already mentioned that we got previews of Dominaria.
I'm so excited.
I am too. I'm more excited about than any set that's been previewed. Like, it was nice to see us going back to Innistrad or whatever, but I'm way more hyped for this than any other preview we've got, and I'm like really excited for Dominaria.
Feels like we're going back to the start.
Going back home, kind of.
Yep.
We have a new core set, which we also mentioned, but I'm looking forward to that.
I've always loved core sets.
I mean, they're not like powerful. They don't really change the face of Standard for the most part. Although Origins was really cool. That was the worst part about them dropping core sets. They just figured it out with Origins. Like, Origins was the best core
And I
set
have
in
a
a
feeling
long
it's going
time.
back to original core sets.
Man, I hope it doesn't, because they had it right. If they kept doing them like Origins,
Just
that'd have been great.
Whatever you do, don't create a new Art of Sarah Angel because I officially have almost all
You
of
have
them. I'm missing
everyone.
like 3 right now, and I don't need to hunt down another one.
Yeah, I'm in Chris's boat. I think they're going to go back to the not Origins type core set, just because they want to get players in the game. Where I think Origins wasn't really a core set; it was its own set,
Sure.
and it didn't really have a lot of introductory mechanics like most of the
See, what I
older
hope
core
they
sets
do
did.
for these core sets is, for instance, for Standard I play Merfolk, I hope they add cards that make Standard format better,
But not broken.
but not broken. Like, give me a Lord in the core set or something that, that would show up in a core set anyways type of
Right.
deal.
It also gives them a chance to reprint stuff or print things specifically for maybe Modern even that isn't going to affect Standard,
Or it doesn't have to be somehow
tied into the set.
tied into the set or the story
Yep,
of
yep.
the set.
Or reprints. Let's them throw reprints out there that they can't otherwise do. Speaking of reprints, M25 is coming this spring as well. We
I'm
had
trying
2 reprint sets this year, 2 big ones.
Now M25, that's going to be just a broad range. It's pretty much going to be like a Eternal Masters type
Yes.
of deal,
Yep.
isn't it?
But
As
it
far
covers
as we can tell from what we've gotten for information.
Yep.
Man, we're just coming off Iconic, which people were kind of
That
been
bombed.
burned out about. I don't know. We'll see. I'm as a Commander player, I'm fine with it all.
I think they're jamming too many of those supplemental
2 years,
sets.
2 a year is too many.
Yeah.
I agree. I think supplemental sets, especially the master type sets, they either need to find a better spot to release them, because Dana and I were talking about this last week, that Iconic Masters, the overall feeling is it kind of bombed because it was just squished between all this product. I sent Dana a list. I think there were 7 or 8 Magic products released from July to the end of the year.
Yep.
And Iconic Masters was thrown in between a standard set and unstable, where it should have been back in July, where there was nothing launched in July, where the core set would be.
And we just had a master set in the spring, and we've been getting inventions and those masterpiece cards and sets as reprints as well. So it was just, I think it was one too many for people.
Yep.
So hopefully we just get the one next year. They've announced no other ones, so I'm hoping that's the only one, and they'll
No, I
pull back a
understand
little
the
bit.
25th because it's a
25th anniversary.
25th anniversary, and I'm assuming we're gonna have a Modern Masters in the summer.
They haven't announced it, so maybe not. Maybe they'll
Maybe
just
not.
maybe this will be our one reprint set for the year.
Conspiracy 3.
That would be
Unless
The
great.
they do
Revenge
that,
of
or they
Brago.
do another type of like iconic type of set, something to.
The only things we know so far are Dominaria. We know the new core set is coming in the summer. We know M25. You know, there's like the they're not dual decks anymore. They're
The challenge
challenge
decks.
decks. The commander
which I'm not
product.
gonna sell.
Yeah.
Nope.
The commander product we'll get, I think, in the late summer again,
Oh come on, give it to me in the fall again.
and then
That's
one
always my
fall,
birthday gift.
one fall set in September. So final guesses. We've speculated about this a few times. Final guess for the world for the fall set.
We're going back to Ravnica.
What do you got, Chris?
I don't think it's going to be the fall set. I know there's one that I really want to go back to, and I have a feeling we're going to very, very soon. I'm going to shoot out there for the fall set, sure. It's going to be going back towards the Mirrodin block, seeing how Karn came back.
Mirrodin is my second guess, but I am also going to say Ravnica. Return to Ravnica for the fall.
Yep.
So we'll check back on those guesses and see who was right or if we were all wrong. 2018, though, I am looking forward to it. 2017,
See ya.
outside the world of Magic, was kind of trash, but in Magic, I was really happy with it.
Yeah. I don't even want to think outside the world.
So we're going to do another 50 shows this year. So when we come back to you guys at the end of 2018, it'll be for show 70 probably, or something in that range.
And that's just 50 shows of this show.
That's just this show. We have plans for
Additional shows that will be YouTube only for the time being.
Yep. And that's probably going to start pretty quick.
Coming in
towards the end of January, I would think.
Middle to end of January, you'll see our first supplemental product.
Oh no, we just bashed all
hopefully
that.
it goes.
Why?
Hopefully it goes better than Iconic Masters.
Uh,
All right. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for everything in 2017. We really appreciate your support, your listenership, your patronage, all that. We will be back next week with our first show of 2018. And until then, I'm Dana.
I'm Max.
and I'm Chris. Happy New Year, everybody.